The old cabin had been my refuge for years, a quiet sentinel nestled deep in the woods. I'd grown used to the whispers of the wind and the rustle of unseen creatures. But one stormy night, a sound unlike any other ripped through the familiar symphony of the forest. It was a deep, guttural cry of pain that seemed to shake the very foundations of my home. Peering through the rain-streaked window, I saw a massive, shadowy figure stumble out of the tree line and collapse right onto my porch. My heart hammered against my ribs. It was huge, covered in matted, dark fur, and clearly injured. This was no bear. Every local legend, every campfire story I'd ever dismissed, came rushing back. It was a Bigfoot. Fear screamed at me to lock the door and hide, but the sound of its pained, shallow breathing was too much to ignore. It was a living creature, and it was dying on my doorstep. Taking a deep breath, I grabbed my largest blanket and my old first aid kit, the one I kept for logging accidents, and slowly opened the door. The creature didn't move as I approached. Its enormous chest rose and fell unevenly. I could see a deep, ugly gash on its side, dark and raw against its fur. Its eyes were closed, but its face, surprisingly human-like in its structure, was contorted in agony. All my fear evaporated, replaced by a wave of pure, unadulterated empathy. I gently draped the blanket over it, a ridiculously small gesture against its immense size, and got to work. Cleaning the wound was a surreal experience. The creature flinched, but made no move to harm me. It was as if it understood I was trying to help. Over the next few days, I became its reluctant nurse. I'd leave out bowls of fresh water and plates of berries, mushrooms, and roots I foraged from the forest. They always vanished. I'd sit on the porch swing, just a few feet away, talking to it in a low, soothing voice. I told it about my life, my late wife, and the quiet loneliness that had driven me to this cabin. I gave it a name. Sam. It felt right. Sam never made a sound, but sometimes it would turn its head slightly, and I could feel its gaze on me, ancient and wise. One afternoon, as I was tending to the wound, which was starting to heal cleanly, Sam's large hand reached out and gently rested on my arm. The touch was feather-light, a stark contrast to its power. In that moment, a connection formed between us, something beyond words, beyond species. I felt a profound sense of understanding flow from it, a shared experience of pain and solitude. It was as if Sam was telling me it knew loss, too. The days turned into weeks. Sam grew stronger. It would sit up, watching the forest with a deep, mournful longing. I knew our time together was ending. Then, one evening, as the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, a soft call echoed from the woods. It was a call I'd never heard before, melodic and sad. Sam's head shot up. It answered with a low, rumbling call of its own. It looked at me, and its dark eyes were filled with an emotion I recognized instantly. Gratitude and goodbye. Slowly, majestically. Sam rose to its full, towering height. It took a step off the porch, then another, moving back towards the forest that was its home. Before disappearing into the twilight shadows, it turned back one last time. It raised a hand, not in a wave, but in a gesture of acknowledgement, of a bond forged in vulnerability and kindness. And then, it was gone. I stood on that porch for a long time, the silence of the forest now feeling different. It wasn't empty anymore. It was filled with a secret I now shared. I had looked into the eyes of a legend and seen not a monster, but a soul. I learned that the wilderness doesn't just hold trees and animals. It holds stories of love, loss, and connection that transcend everything we think we know. My cabin is still a refuge, but I'm no longer lonely, because I know that somewhere out there, in the deep, quiet woods, a friend remembers me, just as I will always remember him. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing for more tales from the edge of the unknown.